words and his deeds of the last 24 hours. Did I get that right, guys? Should we take his word or his deeds of the last 24 hours? What should you take from Kash Patel? What do you believe? His words or his deeds?
I think actions speak louder than words, and that's the point that they're making in the hearings. And it's dangerous when we're in the situation that we are already, where career law enforcement officers are being forced out. And the American people should demand a leader who leads the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who is principled and who believes in the rule of law and not in the political will of the president.
So I want to ask very directly then, do either of you think that Kash Patel or even Pam Bondi, Pam Bondi is qualified, she was Attorney General of Florida, but do you think that they should be running the Department of Justice and the FBI?
I think they have their work cut out for them now that all of these dedicated career public servants have been fired or are worried they will be fired. It's going to fall to them to enforce the nation's laws, where you have a president who's indicating that if people are hostile to them, he's going to prosecute them, and he's going to people whom he perceives as his friends, he's going to give them a pass. Honestly, it's starting to seem like it's almost an impossible job for them to enforce the law neutrally, which is what they said they would do in these hearings, to resist political pressure, which they said they would do in these hearings. That's more important than ever. And so it's a lot of pressure on them. I'm not sure, given some of their past statements, that they'll be able to do it, but I certainly hope so, because we're going to need an independent attorney general and FBI director more than ever now.
One of the aspects of this that, for me, is a little bit intriguing, and of course, I see it as a line that can be drawn in the sand by the affected federal agents and employees and directors of various parts of the agency. This idea that they're getting these threatening letters to resign or be fired. Do you think they should just say, you want me out, fire me? Because that to me draws a line, number one, and particularly for some folks, it allows them some opportunity as civil servants on the back end to really push back up against legally against their firing.
I think, yes, if the administration wants them out, they should take steps to fire them. And it will show how frivolous this really is. The administration has to provide just cause to fire career employees generally. And rewriting history and saying that these people perpetuated the national injustice of prosecuting January 6th is not just cause. That is, again, the strong-arming political will on our law enforcement.
So along those lines, I mean, they received communication that essentially says you are terminated. So are you suggesting that people should continue to show up to work on Monday? Because that's really what Michael is saying. Yeah. They were fired through these and I agree with your assessment. It is an unlawful dismissal that flies in the face of the facts that we all know to be true here. But people are not coming to work. They're essentially not going to go to work. So do you think that the resistance to this unlawfulness should be, no, if you want us out, you'll have to literally come take us out?
I agree with Ms. Akers on that point. That said, I think it's also a personal decision, and many of these people have been given decades of their life to public service, have left their families at home to go conduct surveillance night after night, for example, in the middle of an investigation. So I'm not going to fault anyone who says, I don't want to fight. I'm going to resign. I don't want to go through this anymore.
I understand that, but to be quite honest, that's what they're banking on, because these folks don't want the stain of what they're doing on their fingers. They don't want that person's job on their hands. They want you to freely quit, give up, and get out, so that way they don't have to take the accountable, responsible, required response of, oh, you just fired all these people, to your point. Now, all of a sudden, you've got to account for why you fired them. And so I do hear what you're saying, and I know there are a lot of people in that crosshairs. But if they can just hold on and just go to work on Monday and sit at your desk and just sit there, okay, I'll have a latte. You know, you want me out? Come and get me.
You know, Alicia just texted us. We couldn't hear her, so this is why she didn't come back on. But she has she has a good question. She just said, you know, I'm thinking about the future permission structure and like, what does this mean for a future insurrection? He done let the militia out. Now he done fired the people that investigated the little militia.
There is no greater endorsement of the attack on the Capitol in our democracy than not only blanket pardoning every person who participated, but then firing the lawful adherent law enforcement officers who investigated and prosecuted this crime. And just to be clear, they have not identified anything they did wrong. The American people would expect law enforcement to investigate people bashing in windows and hunting for the vice president in the Capitol building. We should demand that. The fact that they're now being fired, let go, terminated, whatever you want to say it's appalling.
And can I just say, everybody out there who has a job knows if they saw that happening at their work, and they know what was up and how they would respond to it. So to your point, don't sit back on this, folks.
Alexis,
it makes America a lot less safe, is what I'm thinking about, because now, going forward, prosecutors and FBI agents get the message that before they investigate, before they charge a crime, they need to think, how's the person in power going to feel about this? What's their political view of this going to be? And there should be no room for that in making decisions about, has a crime been committed? Who committed the crime? Can we hold them accountable? Can we deter future crimes from happening?
As Alicia would say, that's a chilling effect.
Yeah.
Alexis, Ashley, thank you both for your service and your time here this morning talking about this.